Hey, good evening. This is Chief Meteorologist Alex Kirchner at the 13 Weather Authority, tracking the freezing rain and freezing drizzle threat that we'll have through the early overnight hours. Not a ton is coming when it comes to accumulation, but there's just enough showers out there to cause some slick spots over the remainder of the night. Some of that could linger into early tomorrow, so just make sure you're staying ready for that. By the way, we're live on our website, on our app, on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page. There's multiple ways to get us anytime that we do have to talk about any kind of breaking weather threat or big events across our backyard. Keeping an eye on some of the questions and comments live here on Facebook, by the way, so definitely chime in. I got Jennifer asking, it's starting to get a little icy, so how's the morning going to be? Probably still a little icy like we're seeing right now. So basic breakdown here, winter weather advisories in effect until 6 a.m. for most of northern Illinois. So that means that freezing drizzle and rain, while it's getting out of there before 6 o'clock, some of those impacts could last up until 6. Southern Wisconsin added to the winter weather advisories. It was just recently that southern Wisconsin got added to those. That threat lasts until 3 a.m. For Freeport, it's midnight when we're expecting to see the showers wrap up across our backyard at the very least. So even after midnight, 3 a.m., I would expect still seeing some slick spots through at least 6 a.m. tomorrow, even though these advisories might expire earlier than that. As we look at exact track radar, not a ton on there right now. We've seen these kind of drizzly, misty conditions spread across our backyard and into southern Wisconsin, seeing maybe some reports of more on the sleet end of things near DeKalb. But I think in general, all we're going to see is this light mist or this light drizzle. But it's still just enough to cause some slick spots on the roads, untreated sidewalks, parking lots. Really, it's not just driving around, but that first step out your door. Be careful unless you have a ton of salt down or something. It might be pretty slippery just kind of walking around on the sidewalk, walking around on some of these parking lots. So be cautious with this. Take a look live at downtown Rockford. Traffic's still driving smoothly, but you notice there's plenty of water drops on that camera lens. So that just means we've got that fine mist in the air that's going to freeze on contact to whatever it starts to touch, because temperatures are in the upper 20s right now. So even though that rain isn't all that heavy, there's just enough of that mist to start to freeze onto certain surfaces, causing that thin little layer of ice that can catch you off guard if you're not careful. As we look at current road conditions, so far so good across the majority of our areas, but Joe Daviess County, looking at Carroll County, partially to completely covered in ice. So we're starting to see some of the impacts here in certain spots where we've had these drizzly conditions for a little longer. So expecting to see those roads to deteriorate a little bit. May not be completely, but probably at least plenty of icy patches by the time we get to late tonight into that early morning commute. So when you get up in the morning, take it slow. This is not something that will completely cause you to cancel your plans or that kind of thing for tomorrow, but don't be in a hurry tomorrow morning, especially again, if you got to step outside or walking to your car through a parking lot, unless there's a bunch of salt down, just be really careful with those first steps. This is definitely like waddle like a penguin kind of territory here going into early tomorrow morning. Marcia is wondering here, will it affect school or getting to the bus? So probably won't slow down the school buses and things too much, but just like with everybody else, those buses are going to have to go a little slower, so maybe some slight delays there. Don't be in a rush to get out to the bus, and also be careful walking on the sidewalk to the bus in the morning. As we'll look at future track here, we're expecting to see these drizzly showers just kind of last through at least midnight. After midnight, they slowly exit, so by about 2 in the morning, the showers are done, which is why a lot of the advisories for southern Wisconsin and northwest Illinois expire at about midnight, 3 a.m. in the morning. But it's not like that ice clears out immediately, so that's why it still could get a little slick even after that early part in the morning. So kind of the main threats through at least midnight when it comes to just straight showers, this is freezing rain and freezing drizzle threat. The light showers do just enough. Icing is going to stay well under 1/10 of an inch. So we're not looking at any kind of power outage issues here. It's not going to be that heavy, but there's still just enough out there to cause some slick roads and some slick sidewalks. So be aware that there's that little glaze of ice that's starting to build up out there. So untreated roads and sidewalks definitely affected here. Tim wondering here, looks like we may not be getting really any kind of ice. I would say you're still looking at a glaze. So it's not going to be that, up to 1/10 of an inch necessarily that's going to start to affect things like that's a lot of weight on trees. It's a lot of weight on power lines. But this is still just enough to cause that little kind of glare ice, black ice effect on a lot of untreated roads and sidewalks. So yeah, we're not getting the big ice accumulations here, but we are getting just enough to cause some slick spots. So like Jennifer's chiming in here on Facebook, definitely watch out on those country roads. Watch out on some of those kind of more rural roads or even your side streets. You go into your neighborhood. It might be a little slippery out there to get onto some more of the main roads. I know the city of Rockford at least has been out salting, so I think those main streets are going to be in pretty good shape. But you get out to some of those more like side streets and county highways, that's when things could get kind of slippery out there. And the reason why we're talking about this, the air is plenty warm above us, so what's happening is we're getting rain showers above us, but because temperatures are below freezing, that rain freezes on contact, which is why that ice is starting to build up a little bit out there. We are warm enough that we're seeing mostly just freezing rain. Any kind of sleet and snow not likely to mix in all that much. You can see that the atmosphere needs to be colder for that, so that warm air layer is probably pretty thick at this point, causing that rain to hold together and not freeze into sleet or freeze into snow on the way down. So as a result, it freezes on contact and shows up basically as rain instead of that sleet or snow. So anybody that's just joining us, again, we're live here on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, as well as our app and our website, taking some questions and comments live here on Facebook. So let me know if you're wondering anything. Got a new one here from Omar. Will salt help out on some of these roads? What's occurring is city of Rockford, for instance, sending out its salt trucks, getting that salt down. That manages to help affect the freezing point, at least on the roads. As a result, then, that ice can't form and the roads stay clear. When it comes to rainfall, though, that can wash that salt away. Thankfully, this is more of a mist or drizzle, so that rain isn't coming down heavy enough that's washing the salt off the roads. So salt's going to help in this case in that it's going to help adjust that freezing point just a little bit, enough so that the ice isn't forming on some of these main roads. But the rain's also not heavy enough that it's washing that salt away. So that's some good news with kind of getting that preventative down to help us navigate across our backyard. Variety of advisories out right now. 3 a.m. for southern Wisconsin. You got added in somewhat recently to the winter weather advisories. So this is kind of the end time for some of these showers. That doesn't necessarily mean the icy threats are over. It's just the active mist, the active drizzle, the active rain coming through and ending at midnight, ending at 3 a.m. Could last until 6 a.m. though in some spots of northeastern Illinois. So advisories basically just say, be ready for slick roads. You can't go at normal speed. Take it slow, be careful, but you'll still be able to navigate into tomorrow morning. This is not a shut everything down. This is not a, oh my gosh, we're getting power outages kind of icing event. It's a bit more of a nuisance. It's very light, but it's enough that it can get a little treacherous out there if you're not careful. So as we look at Exact Track radar, it's showing snow, but all the reports I've seen so far, it's kind of more of a fine mist or drizzle, not necessarily any kind of flurries with this, but just enough to cause some slick spots. You can see that demonstrated here on our library camera. We got some water droplets on the screen, so that camera lens is starting to fog up just a little bit with that very fine mist out there, not seeing any kind of snowflakes or heavier showers, thankfully. But whatever does fall, it's going to start to freeze on contact because temperatures are below freezing, and they have been throughout the majority of the day. And we're seeing even some more widespread impacts in Joe Davis and Carroll counties, where you're looking at partially covered to completely covered roads when it comes to that iciness out there. Keeping an eye on the questions and comments here. Lisa's wondering, morning commute for Byron, it's going to be slower. This is not going to be a horrendously slow morning, but you're going to have just enough ice out there that you're going to want to take care while driving. I'd say get out the door an extra 10, maybe 15 minutes early, just so you can take your time getting from destination to destination. Don't plan on dry roads, don't plan on even wet roads. Drive like you're driving on ice into tomorrow morning, but I don't think it'll completely shut everything down. It's more just like take your time getting from spot to spot, and definitely increase that stopping time. You see that stop sign at the end of your street or something, brake a little early, brake gently, just kind of do everything a little more gentle in the morning. Lisa's wondering, could there be school closures? Possibly if enough ice builds up, but we haven't seen a ton of closures just yet. However, definitely check in on WREX.com through the night, especially tomorrow morning. Meteorologist Claudia Oleg will keep you up to speed on that. Elizabeth mentioning it's horrible right now in southern Wisconsin, and Christina's wondering how much snow is Beloit going to get. So Beloit's probably not going to get much for snowfall, but you're getting in on the action when it comes to some freezing drizzle and freezing rain. So it's more of a little ice layer that's building up, and not so much for snow in those early morning hours. So we will continue to keep an eye on some of those school situations and things. Again, I don't think it's going to be a major shut everything down type of morning. It might be more little ice could slow down the bus, cause some minor delays when it comes to you just getting to work or get the kids off to school in the morning. As we look at future track, you'll see that these drizzly conditions really are just going to keep going through at least midnight. We get to about 2, 3 in the morning, the showers are done. So by the time you get up and start driving to work, it won't be actively raining or misting or drizzling anymore, but there will be enough ice left over that you're going to want to, again, just take it slow. That's kind of the emphasis, or the point of emphasis I keep trying to make. Don't be in a rush in the morning. You can still get to your destination, but take your time, drive with care during those early morning hours. Augustine's wondering here, any accumulation of snow? Some flurries or a little sleet may mix in every so often, but I think a lot of what's going to come down is freezing rain or drizzle. And I know that doesn't sound all that threatening, but really it's just enough to cause that glaze of ice. So slick roads, slick sidewalks, pretty likely as of this point. So snow amounts, sleet amounts, pretty low. If we do see anything, it might be a dusting out of that, but I'm definitely more concentrating on that freezing rain or that freezing drizzle effect as we go throughout the rest of tonight. So plan on, go out to the parking lot in the morning, go out to your car in the morning. We are looking at, again, making sure that you're just walking on ice, being careful, kind of waddle like a penguin as you go throughout the rest of tonight and into early tomorrow morning. So Stephanie's wondering here, how are we looking for Saturday? Saturday's going to bring some snowfall, and we're going to talk about it tonight on 13 News at 10. So we're going to kind of wrap up our coverage here to get ready for that broadcast coming up in a little over an hour. And like I mentioned, Stephanie, we will be talking about the snow. I'll bring up what could play out as we get closer to the weekend. So thanks for staying informed. Thanks for staying here. Join us tonight for 13 News at 10 as we track the rest of this event and what's to come as of this weekend. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you tonight at 10 o'clock.